Hello everyone, this is Komal Mathur, a legal intern at Lexis and Company. I study in Manipal University, Jaipur, and currently I am in my second year. I am glad to have this opportunity to intern with Lexis and Company, which is why I am presenting this video here. So the topic for today's video is the Unorganized Workers Social Security Act of 2018. Let us start with an introduction. Unorganized employees make up 94% of India's workforce, who work for long hours and are forced to relocate to find work, toil in dangerous and often cruel conditions, and have no regular employer or assurance of minimum salary. They begin working while they are young and work until they are too old or disabled owing to illness or disability to continue. They are the unfree, enslaved by the persistent poverty, exploitation, discrimination, and constant change. These unfree people make up 95% of all female workers and 89% of all male workers in India. And they provide more than 60% of the country's gross domestic product. Now, the Unorganized Workers Social Security Bill 2008 was approved by the Parliament on December 18, 2008, making it into a law. Several commissions that looked into the situation of these employees as well as grassroots organizations of the rural laborers and unorganized workers and politicians from all the political parties have expressed concerns about the future in post-independence India. As a result, there was a lot of hope that such an act would be able to free these unfree. The Unorganized Workers Social Security Act of 2008 was passed to provide unorganized workers with social security and welfare. This act is significant in India since it is the first time the word unorganized laborers has been established, allowing them to be identified in the eyes of the law. The Act lays different welfare schemes under which workers can get some protection, allow for some registration of the unorganized workers, and gives governments at the both federal and state levels the authority to set the rules. The characteristics of the Unorganized Workers Social Security Act 2008 are: Social Security Schemes Enabling Framework. The Act empowers the federal government to create support programs for the workers in the unorganized sector. Health and maternity benefits, life and disability insurance, old age protection, and the other governmental benefits are included in these welfare programs. The Act outlines 11 programs for the workers in the unorganized sector. Second characteristics: establishment of the national and state advisory boards for social security. The Act established National Social Security Advisory Board to suggest the design and implementation of the appropriate assistance programs for the workers in the unorganized sector. In addition, the Act aims to create Social Security Advisory Boards at the state level also. These state boards will execute the same function as the central board, but at the state or district levels, and each board consists of an appropriate chairperson, a member secretary, and 26 nominated members. Unorganized sector workers will be able to register and receive smart cards. Workers who are not unionized should be required to register with the district administration. The Act specifies the establishment of the National Security Board and the State Social Security Board, both of which will provide recommendations of the design of appropriate schemes that will be monitored and evaluated subsequently. The Workers' Facilitation Centers will be distributed with accessible data on social security schemes as well as the ease of the filling, processing, and forwarding of registration applications with the support of district government. The Act Schedule 1 has a list of social security schemes aimed at ensuring that the workers in the unorganized sector are able to meet their basic necessities and maintain a good standard of living. The purpose and the objective of this Act was: the UWSS Act of 2008 was enacted with the goal of ensuring social security, excellent health, and protecting unorganized sector employees from a variety of hazards. The significance of the Act was highlighted in the 2012 case of National Domestic Workers Welfare versus the State of Jharkhand and others, in which it was stated that the current labor laws such as the Industrial Dispute Act, the Maternity Benefit Act, the Minimum Wages Act, the Factory Act, the Workmen's Compensation Act, and the others only apply to a small number of workers and not to the all. Part 4 of the Directive Principles of the State Policy served as the foundation of the India Social Security Regulations. Because Social Security and Labour laws are on the concurrent list, both the federal and state governments are authorized to enact legislation. It is the responsibility of the state to establish provisions to provide social status and security to both organized and unorganized sector of workers. Another goal of this legislation is to ensure that the requirements of the workers in the unorganized sectors are met, as this sector contributes a lot to the country's long-term economic prosperity. Now, the social security benefits under this Act are health benefits such as health insurance for self, spouse, children under the age of 18, sickness allowance, or the maternity benefits for the workers or the spouses of the men workers, life insurance to cover natural and accidental death, old age security in the form of old age pension for the BPL workers under the 60 years old, over 60 years old, as well as provident for income employment assistance for all the other workers. The federal government may, in addition to the national minimum, construct or finance plans for state governments that it deems essential or suitable, subject to the availability mentioned in the Section 5 and may include others. Now let us discuss about the limitations of this Act. Agricultural labours have not been included under this Act's ambit, and nor has a separate law for agricultural labourers have been introduced till date. The National Centre for Education and Urban Studies drafted 2 bills. The social security system has been deactivated, leaving only the most diluted versions of the social security. The 2008 acts appear to have left large areas of unorganized labor without any protection or safety. The exclusion reveals the true colors of the politics of inclusion. Only a small percentage of the unorganized laborers are covered under the ambit of this act. The act's approval is not accompanied by any legally mandated guarantees for establishment of a central welfare fund. The statute contains no sanctions for companies that violate it, and therefore working conditions for the unorganized workers remains uncontrolled and unenforced as a result of Arjun Sen Gupta Commission's being dropped. The problem of unorganized women employees has not been addressed in the law. Their issues have been completely ignored. There is no retaliation for the bureaucrats who refuses to register any unorganized workers under the twin plan scheme. These are some of the problems which are in urgent need of attention and reform. Moving toward the conclusion, social security is a vital component of the development at all the levels of society, and it leads to improved social and economic prosperity. To ensure that these workers get the most out of these schemes, efforts must be made to educate them about their rights and these acts. The statute intends to provide unorganized workers with the social protection and put them in a better protection and the position to avoid suffering in crisis. However, because it is a primary law governing the unorganized sector, it is critical that the defects and the ambiguities in the statute should be addressed as soon as possible. The concept of social security and family must be defined in order for a worker and his family to receive benefits under the International Labour Law Organization Minimum Standards Convention. The legislative policy and objective of the Act must be clarified. Thank you. That's it for today. Have a nice day.